in the common media perception right now for the average person who is not using AI with any sort of intent. It's being foisted on them.
Yeah.
Their perception is that it's a magic black box, right?
Yeah.
And whatever you want can be pulled out of that box. If
Yeah.
you are not able to pull it out of the box, then it's your fault, not the technology. So
Besides,
technology is capable of everything.
you might have seen these magic performance or magic show kits that they sell to kids.
Mhm.
And imagine somebody sold you a defective one. It's so easy for the salesman to come back and say that,
यूज करना नहीं आता
आपको use करना नहीं आता. You are a bad magician. So wait, it is.
Oh, what a great analogy.
So exactly what is so sad about this is that particular rhetoric is 60 years old right now. So the first AI chatbot that came up was this thing called Eliza, which was the person who made it was half joking. It was supposed to be a psychotherapy bot. Joseph Weizenbaum. He actually came out and said that this isn't magic, this isn't AI, this is just an algorithm, or this is simply something you could write down in a spreadsheet and it'll still work. People weren't willing to listen. It's the public that insisted that no, there has to be something special.
Hello and welcome back to Hype Cycles, where typically Nitesh and I discuss what is going on in the world of tech, in the world of business. We do a lot of talk about AI and data centers and moral hazards. And today we have a guest who's covered all of that in his blog post, in his very deep, very intense, and very well written blog post. Jaidev, hello and welcome to Hype Cycles.
Hi Vineet, hi Nitesh.
Hello.
Very happy to have you here. So I am the surface level guy. I crack bad jokes and I stick to the surface. Nitesh goes deep by reading DRHPs, and you seem to be going deep by reading a lot and writing a lot, so which is very cool.
More like coding a lot. The writing just comes eventually.
Excellent. Today we have a topic which is also quite deep. Last time I went on a bit of a rant because Andy Jassy had said that AI is inevitable. AI is here whether you like it or not. And we are today here to wonder what that means. Is it here to stay? And what does that even fucking mean? क्या इसका मतलब क्या है? Let's actually get cracking. Jaidev, any initial thoughts?
So, in the early 2020s, I'm saying it as if it's a decade ago. But yeah, 2020, 2021, I stopped using the term AI in my professional tags or titles or anything like that, or my CV or some such thing, because it meant any and everything, So I just went back to calling myself a programmer who just happens to specialize in machine learning. Machine learning is still this, somewhat sorted and well-defined field compared to AI, which is any and everything. Now your browser has AI, maybe your classes have AI, and and the whole thing is that this is not new at all. It's as old as AI itself. And the farther behind you look, the more you realize that it's always been this marketing term, which for a brief period actually meant something, and now it means nothing. So yeah, AI is inevitable because the heat death of the universe is inevitable. The probability of anything happening is 1. So yeah, AI is inevitable in that sense.
Because technically, like if you look at the last few bubbles, blockchain भी कहीं ना कहीं तो जिंदा है in some format or the other. So therefore,
Yeah.
blockchain is also inevitable. कोई भी NFT तो होगा कहीं पे. I believe the original NFT, that Jack Dorsey wala NFT, is now available for $5. But
Oh my God.
technically still exists. So inevitable.
Still exists, yes. And before that, big data was inevitable.
Yes.
Before that, God knows, deep learning was inevitable, something or the other. Every decade, something breaks the world, and then it basically goes. It's literally hype cycles. Gartner, they came up with that term, if I'm not wrong.
No, we did. It was never used before we did. Never, ever. We came up with the term. हमारा है.
Gartner, I've never heard that. name.
Never heard this.
Oh, I see.
This is a great topic, and I'm mostly here in an observational capacity. But I will say that I am glad that I have a witness in you, Jaidev, for this topic, because there is a non-zero chance that Vineet might spontaneously combust by talking about today's
Quite possible.
subject du jour. So
इसलिए मैंने अभी just put on the AC like 30 seconds ago.
I'm glad I have an eyewitness that I did not do anything to
It's
precipitate.
a podcast. You don't need an eyewitness. ये record हो रहा है.
A blast cast.
Way to kill my joke, man. But anyway, let's get to it now.
Yes, yes. So in fact, I wanted to use this as a starting point, and you are the best person to talk about this. कि AI क्या है? Everything is AI. Generative AI is AI,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is linked to LLMs. My Photoshop mein object removal is AI. It
Yep.
never used to be called that. It used to be called object removal. Now it is called AI object removal.
Yeah.
Right.
In
AI
fact,
is
precisely
machine learning. AI is
precisely the sort of problem that I'm currently happen to be solving it on how to effectively remove objects from an image without messing up the background and stuff like that. And after a lot of up and downs, I realized that wait a second, this may not need neural networks. It's possible we could get away with doing something much simpler, perhaps, because software, we don't have the luxury of running our software on the cloud. We have to run it on the user's devices and stuff like that. And that is when it is through that sort of work that you really get a good feel of why the problems that are supposedly solved are not remotely solved. Yeah, they are solved if you happen to have tons of OpenAI and cloud credits and you have a lot of data centers lying around and you have all the compute in the world lying around. So yeah, that is what AI is. AI isn't anymore, just your spam filter, because things are so routine right now. I mean, there was statistics, then there was machine learning, then there was algorithms and computer science and so on. And then suddenly, LLMs and transformers came along and it was all just packed up under AI because, now it's exposed to the general public. And
it
in
seems
order to,
reductive, right? It seems कि अब now they have started reducing it to its base कि कुछ भी computer कर रहा है,
it is, yes,
artificial intelligence हो गया.
absolutely.
Even spam filters is a great example. I mean, around
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
Now it will organize your inbox, send stuff here, send stuff there. AI बन गया.
Absolutely. So if Gmail gets sort of enshittified tomorrow, some AI company will come out and say that, oh, okay, we have a simple Bayesian spam filter, which is AI powered. And nobody will be wiser and they'll believe it's AI. And people will get away with that, which is fine. It's just, you know, as somebody who teaches these things, it gets on my nerves.
Is it even possible to break down AI into subparts? कि LLMs / generative falls here, this falls here, this falls here.
Oh, yes, it is. It's just that, as with any taxonomy, people sort of classify things depending on what their purposes are. So for a teacher, it's very different. For somebody who's selling stuff, it's very different. Right? So yeah, it's certainly possible. It is reductive, of course.
By the way, just as a bit of context, I run a video AI startup.
Oh, you run a video AI startup. What is it called?
It's called Individual, which is like we built our own video production management system with AI in the backend, human in the loop AI, for scripting support, but again, a creative director on top, storyboarding, mood boarding. Now we built an end-to-end AI video system for marketing managers to go from build concepts in the platform itself, go to script, go to mood board, lock the AI characters, build a storyboard, sitting on top of whether it's Dream, whether it's VO 3.1. First generate the images using a Nano Banana Pro, then go beyond storyboarding to
Nano
visual.
Banana Pro, that's definitely AI.
Yeah.
Do you also have the functional? Do you have the also have the feature of Ghiblifying your characters? Okay.
We are a professional enterprise marketing brand team type system, not consumer focused.
Vineet, what is the timeline for the entire process that you described? How long does that take now? And how long did it take a year back?
And so a year back, okay, so I know this is a huge sidebar, but so when we've been like we're building our system over the last 4 months, 5 months, this one, right? Abhi beta mein hai. But we've been doing AI videos end to end, like professional AI videos for Harpic and Crompton and stuff for 8-9 mahine ho gaye. So how we've been doing it to preserve that consistency is pehle, so there are these aggregators, OpenArt, FreePic, where you can go and create those scenes, right? Higgsfield, prompt karke. So those prompts are, you can't actually prompt for any kind of consistency. You can't say, for example, if I am selling a Bluetooth speaker, my first scene, I might say, show me a 25 to 30-year-old man and woman sitting on a picnic mat and it starts raining and there is a Bluetooth speaker and a picnic basket. I don't care what's in that picnic basket in the first scene. But my first scene generate ho gaya. Now my second scene, I care about everything. I care about what is in the picnic basket. I care about the color of my Bluetooth speaker. I care about the color of the shirt the guy is wearing because it has to be exactly the same as the first one. I care about whether the guy has curly hair or wavy hair in the second scene, not in the first. So therefore, what we would do is GPT में जाके prompt लिखो कि मुझे give me a prompt for Higgsfield or OpenArt, right? वहां जाके पहले इमेज जनरेट करो, फिर उसको कन्वर्ट करके वीडियो जनरेट करो, उसके स्क्रीनशॉट्स लो, टेक मल्टीपल स्क्रीनशॉट्स, put them as input back in ChatGPT to build a prompt for the storyboard for the second scene. So right, generate something. Then it gets into 85 mm lens. This is the background separation. This is where the sunlight is streaming from. This is the tree. वो सारा image डालो साथ में and describe these things. Then use that to build a prompt for scene number 2 along with those same screenshots from scene number 1. So the video also doesn't lose track. And then that is how you build the video across 15 to 20 scenes for a 30-second clip. We've encoded all this into our system.
Nice.
So that actually makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So again, give me a sense of the timeline today.
So using our system, I can now build a 30 to 40-second video in an hour.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So wow.
Including the back and forth on the creative brief, the concept, locking the characters.
So that's exactly the sort of stuff I would trade in for something like a deep dive video generated by Notebook LM, where it's difficult for me to sort of take the video apart and prompt it in the right places and say, could you change this frame? And something like that. It just it doesn't allow you to interrupt it. It's like, you can have all the conversation that you want before you trigger the video generation. And then it's going to go for 10 minutes and generate this animated video.
Exactly.
Which is there's very little customization that you can do iteratively on the video.
Post, yeah.
Which is why like enterprise side khali padi hai. So many of my friends on the enterprise marketing side have helped them with doing their first few experiments using Higgsfield, OpenArt. Directly LLM to chhod do. It is very, very difficult to directly start building. Like कर सकते हो technically Gemini Pro में जाके video generate करो, but there's no need. Like you're working straight on at the raw material end. These aggregators are helpful, but the drop off is near 100%. वो marketing manager पहली बार, no matter how senior or junior, first time they will try. They will end up with something half useful after like many days of effort, क्योंकि LinkedIn पे डालना है, and then they will give up. You know that problem, right? LinkedIn पे डालना है. The bosses are asking AI में कुछ करो.
Yeah. Jaidev, isn't that a common refrain from non-coders who are doing vibe coding? That they start on an ambitious project and get halfway through and then have to abandon it?
Oh, yeah. In fact, they either abandon it or the half-baked product again ends up on LinkedIn or something, and some kind soul has to volunteer to clean it up for them. So, just a few months ago, vibe coding Janitor used to be a joke. Now it's not.
Vibe coding Janitor. That would sounds like a very expensive job.
It is, and that's who I am. In fact, my designation is Chief Code Deleter.
So yeah, after that sidebar, getting back, we end up using a lot of the AI stuff ourselves. Our company is built on it, and I am a huge skeptic, but more on the hype side, the finance side of things.
That actually makes perfect sense. It's only those people can be skeptics who are actually using it every day, and for them, for those people for whom it's a question of revenue,
it kind of demystifies the whole thing, right? Otherwise, in the common media perception right now, for the average person who is not using AI with any sort of intent, it's being foisted on them.
Yeah.
Their perception is that it's a magic black box, right?
Yeah.
And whatever you want can be pulled out of that box. If you are not able to pull it out of the box, then it's your fault, not the technology. So technology is capable of everything.
You are a Luddite.
You are the limitation. You are the weak link in the chain. That's the marketing or the common perception around AI. And That's genius. To be able to pull that off is
So
amazing.
it's actually exactly that. So you might have seen these magic performance or magic show kits that they sell to kids.
Mhm.
And imagine somebody sold you a defective one. It's so easy for the salesman to come back and say that
भी यूज करना नहीं आता.
आपको यूज करना नहीं आता. You are a bad magician. So wait, it is.
Oh, what
And
a great analogy.
so, in fact, exactly what is so sad about this is that particular rhetoric is 60 years old right now. So the first AI chatbot that came up was this thing called Eliza, which was supposed to be. The person who made it was half joking. It was supposed to be a psychotherapy bot, Joseph Weizenbaum, and he said that to explain is to explain away. So it was a simple script and rule based kind of an engine that would look for patterns and respond to patterns. That's it. In fact, today's LLMs are way more sophisticated than what that was, right? And people just were, even after he actually came out and said that this isn't magic, this isn't AI, this is just an algorithm, or this is simply something you could write down in a spreadsheet and it'll still work. People weren't willing to listen. It's the public that insisted that no, there has to be something special here.
Magic है. People want something that's larger than life. People want
Correct.
a story.
There's that human tendency to sort of try and fill the gaps in something that you don't understand, especially if it is something that is so ubiquitous. So now it's like it can't be this large and this successful, and so many people can't be vouching by it, and it at the same time be completely non-magical and completely straightforward, and therefore AGI is inevitable.
Yeah,
I
so I was going to come to this much later, AGI, ASI, but अभी भी घुस सकते हैं because your article had this one phrase. All anthropomorphism thus is a matter of degrees of similarity to human behavior.
Human behavior, yeah.
There isn't a qualitative threshold beyond which a being is deemed human.
Yeah.
So when it comes to human level intelligence, emotion or behavior, AI researchers probably just should call it a day and move on to better defined problems. I have
Yeah.
thoughts, but I want to hear from you. Explain this.
So the AGI ASI goalposts have been shifting far too widely in the last 3-4 years. Every 6 months, Hamode will come up and say that we're going to have a data center full of PhDs or something, and software development is going to die, and this job is going to die, and that job is going to die, and so on. And that doesn't happen, and yet people keep seeing AI does seem to keep getting marginally better, at least now that the marginal utility of it has, I think, tapered off. But let's wait. So clearly, what that means is that nobody has the first clue of what human level intelligence even means. Because if this was so we thought, okay, Turing test. ChatGPT fixes the Turing test or passes the Turing test. Clearly, that wasn't a good yardstick for human level intelligence. So what is it? Is it code? No, it's not. Is it art? Apparently not. I mean, I would still argue that art is still, I guess it can make music, it can make cartoons and everything. So clearly, all of these facets and aspects of what we thought is human intelligence is not human intelligence, because nobody is willing to put their foot down today and say that we have reached AGI. So
It is
there are all
also
of
a
these.
way of like the metric becoming the measure, right? Ki
Yeah.
Turing test pass ho gaya. A lot of these benchmark tests to
Yeah.
show that a model is better than its predecessor are like, how am I supposed to understand as a user कि ये model better है पिछले वाले से? So then they'll throw benchmarks at me.
There are no benchmarks. That's what I meant in the article. That I was quoting this philosopher called Mark Rowlands, and he said that what separates humans from the remaining animals is their tendency to, or their desire to separate them from other animals. No other animal cares about this.
Yeah.
There are other animals that use language. There are other animals that use a very, very rudimentary form of agriculture. There are other animals that use tools. So what is it that qualitatively you are different at? Sure, like brain to body ratio is a solid and very apparent metric, but it's a continuous range, right? Where do you draw the line and say that iske aage you are human?
हाँ मतलब exactly, and brain to body ratio is also again giving the benchmark. ये हमारा benchmark है तो ये है तो सही है.
Exactly. So it's like Admiral Aladdin running across the finish line and then turning back and shooting the competitor.
Yeah, I'm going to play a bit of a clip, right, from a supercut from Google I/O this time from last week. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Google AI, major AI product. AI, 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 AI,
At this point, it's like,
Yes. I will let it keep going.
this podcasting SEO optimized already.
Chalo band karta hoon. Let me spare everyone. It was still, I had to pause it. By the way, it was still not done.
The word has lost all meaning for me now. The phrase.
By the way, there are two mentions of AGI in there, which, interestingly enough, Microsoft and OpenAI's latest agreement seems to have dropped it altogether. They don't even talk AGI. They started talking AGI that Microsoft has control or part ownership, part revenue share till AGI is hit. Then they had to come up with a definition of AGI because now these are financials, right? So then the definition was key when I think it was $100 million of profit. When
Wait a
OpenAI
second.
does,
Definition of AGI?
yes, they had to define AGI for the lawyers. And their definition of AGI between Microsoft and OpenAI documented was when OpenAI hits $100 million of profit for the first time, AGI will have been achieved.
Was it million or billion? We recorded this about a year back, I think. And the glee on Vineet's face, Jaidev, when he pulled that up, he says, "Do you know that there is a definition of age?"
There's a financial Sam. But credit where it's due, at least they have a definition. You know?
No, they had to. It was a legal document.
Correct. So I mean, trust lawyers to come up with at least, put blinders around you or something like that. Because otherwise it was something super vague like economically valuable work and so on.
Yeah, $100 billion, not $100 million. So yeah,
Oh my God. So that means the training costs, the inference cost, the cost of time and material, salaries, wages, running data centers, the rents you pay on them, all of that mila ke, whatever, 2,000 rupees per month of subscriber pays for ChatGPT Pro, or is it plus? I don't know. That uska profit has to cross 100 billion.
yes.
Then how is
And this
AGI?
is back in like 2022. Optimism tha tab.
But
Ab
this is,
definition hata diya. Now the latest partnership has no definition of AGI.
but wait, when you're saying optimism tha tab, have you seen SpaceX's S1? The TAM.
Yeah, that has crossed over from optimism into just cynicism. Even they are cynics now. They are. You can tell that nobody there believes anything that they are saying. Ki
The
tum kha lo.
TAM for enterprise B2B is in the trillions. And here you're saying 100 billion में AGI हो जाएगा. कैसे होगा? नहीं होगा. That's why they removed the definition because they aim too low.
Polymarket has tweeted that Mark Anderson declares AGI was achieved 3 months ago.
Why didn't
कुछ
anybody
भी बोल
tell?
दो. What does AGI mean? ये बता दो, please. So, funnily enough, one of the early press conferences after GPT-3 was launched with Sam Altman. Not even press conference. In fact, he had some town hall shit in SF where someone asked him, "What's your business model?" Like, we'll just keep iterating and improving GPT till ChatGPT can tell us what our revenue model should be.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
So
And
that is
here's the
AGI.
weird part. It's not just him. A lot of pretty respectable scientists in the field believe that. They were like, I think there was an Andrej Karpathy podcast. Who's that fellow? Dwarkesh Patel. On the
Hmm.
Dwarkesh Patel podcast, or maybe it was Lex Friedman. I don't know, one of the two. And it was like, I see aging as a problem, but I cannot solve that problem. I can solve the AI problem. So I'm going to solve the AI problem and the AI will solve the aging problem. So this was
And by that, this core assumption that I will solve the AI problem without defining what is AI, what is the problem, and I will solve it.
Yeah.
and people are like, wow, that thing went viral, that conversation. I don't know if this is from that Andre Karpathy with Dwarkesh Patel, but that interview
It's in
went
the same
viral.
spirit. Yes, yes. And the 3 years later, similar podcast, maybe one was Patel and the other was Friedman or something like that. It's like suddenly very, very toned down this time. 2024, mid to 2024, it is like, guys, relax. Self-driving cars have been around the corner for 20 years now. They've been for 20 years just trying to run into you. And they're not remotely done yet. So God knows what we're going to do with AGI.
Then there was the open claw moment 3 months ago. Suddenly everyone was running 30 agents. And again, people are bragging on LinkedIn and on Twitter about how many agents they're running. क्या कर रहे हो उनसे बता दो प्लीज व्हाट आर यू डूइंग व्हाट हैव यू अचीव्ड विद देम ये बता दो मुझे
Certainly not economically valuable work.
so that is one of my theses. Nitesh always goes quiet when I go on one of my rants about this, so I don't know if he agrees or not. He just lets me rant. Ki it is AI is great as a B2B productivity enhancement system. It is a series of amazing assistants.
That's
And ये भी
fantastic.
मुझे टीम को समझाना पड़ता है, use AI as an assistant, not as a boss. Do not ever come back to me and say Claude ने बोला है. I don't care. You have to set the parameters कि Claude से set, ask these 5 specific questions, feed it the right data, and it will effectively parse it for you. Amazing. It is
Yeah.
a series of very intelligent interns if you know how to use it well. But it is a productivity tool that way. It is not more. It hasn't gone beyond, at least in my system. Right. My co-founder is very, very AI heavy. Right. CTO co-founder, very AI heavy. खुद तो बहुत use करता है. He's does so much vibe coding, does so much actual coding, does so much 5 लोगों की tech team को भगाता रहता है. Right. And
But
he's
I'm
got using AI.
curious. Does that need a tear down step also? Does that need a cleanup step after he's done?
I have no idea.
It must. No?
I have no idea. I don't
I
even
mean,
understand. He used a lot of OpenClaw बीच
So-
में. Right. He's got his bunch of agents running. I'm scared of asking him कि result क्या था.
What?
I do know कि at the end of it we have a software that looks fantastic. That is solving a very real problem that we are taking to enterprises and showing betas right now and to investors. Right. So therefore the software is there. How much of it has come from human ingenuity? How much has come from AI being part of the active thinking process? How much coordination? How much assistance? I don't know. I have no idea.
You know, I'm thinking maybe I started the podcast with the wrong founder.
हाँ मैं उसको भेजता हूँ.
Yeah, let's get him there the next episode or something like that.
If then we'll also become one of those how to use AI better.
Exactly. We would have monetized by now.
ये तो है so much money.
That was like my one contribution to today's podcast, and you took that away from me, Vineet, which is nobody in the entire ecosystem has any incentive to say that the emperor has no clothes. It serves nobody's interest. We have been saying it for a while now. You have been saying it for a lot longer than I have. But what have you got from it? And if you were preaching the gospel, like you just said, we would have at least 100x the subscribers we do now. You're saying here's a cool tech tool, here's a founder who's using it all the time, and here's how you can use it to get stock tips or whatever. And it's so much easier to be on that side of this debate, right? There are so many more incentives on that side.
Like classic George Orwell Animal Farm moment. 1 year later, I realized that hype cycles is now selling. The revolution is complete.
Hype cycling.
I said,
I've always been a 4 legs bad, 2 legs good kind of person. We're just waiting to sell out. Jaidev.
वही हाँ कोई
We
खरीदने
don't
वाला
have a
है
large
नहीं.
enough audience to sell out
हाँ
to.
कोई खरीदने वाला अभी तक आया ही नहीं है.
वो अपना एजेंट्स चला रहे होंगे.
हाँ.
नहीं तो ये है but this is a genuine problem with every bubble, right? कि the incentives to hype up the bubble are much stronger than the incentives to
Conveniently
be skeptical.
disproportionately higher. Yeah.
हाँ.
Yeah.
How do you cash out on being skeptical? It is very hard. मीडिया में वैसे ही पैसा नहीं बचा है.
Yeah.
Skepticism and so one thing I am very strongly I rant about a lot is LinkedIn culture. LinkedIn culture has promoted just कोई भी कुछ भी बोल रहा है कि I am today going to vibe code an app that will send gobi to your house from a farm in Angola in 8 minutes. And the responses will be, wow, sir, wow, amazing, amazing, brilliant, sir, brilliant, too good, you are genius, sir, indigenous, sir, everything.
No.
No one is going to say, भाई तो क्या कर रहा है? ये नहीं
Those
चलेगा.
comments sound like they're not written by AI.
Fair. वो भी प्रॉब्लम है. उसमें भी वही 6 emojis, rocket emoji, lightning emoji, ting ting ting, मुझे सब चाहिए. But yeah, so LinkedIn culture I feel has contributed to a lot of this rot where you need healthy skepticism, but healthy skepticism is seen as Ludditism. There's a lovely book called क्या Blood in the Machine
Blood
by
in the
Brian
machine.
Merchant. Blood in the Machine by Brian Merchant, where he talks about the actual Luddites. All they wanted was unionism. All they wanted was better worker protection. They were not like, ye mat karo, ye mat karo, ye mat karo. But yeah, that has also been bastardized into.
Oh, wait, small aside. Do you know that there was a strike at Samsung's factories last week or this week?
क्या चल
No,
रहा है वहाँ पे? What is the update?
Uh, they won. Samsung is going to pay out what an average of Bloomberg calculated about $350,000 per worker as a special bonus
Wow.
over the next few years, as a one-off AI bonanza. We quadrupled or what 10x our earnings, and so we are sharing the fruit with workers. About 10% of their net profit is going to be distributed. I'm
That's
pulling that
very
number out of my ass, but somewhere in that range, and estimated around 350k US per worker.
this has got to be the
I'm guessing this is not their facilities in India. This is South Korea.
Yeah, South Korea. Sorry, what are you saying, Jaidev?
it's got to be the first whiff of abundance का A भी जो सुना है अभी तक from AI.
And
Oh,
even
man.
this was because they threatened to stop
Yeah.
production.
It came from a union, didn't come from the people running the AI.
Yeah, and the first article that Bloomberg ran on this had a great headline. It says we are going to have a showdown between the haves and the have mores for the first time, and this might set the tone for how this sudden windfall that companies tend to have because of AI. What will be done with that? This might set the precedent one way or another. Like
This is very interesting.
management.
Like, centuries have been about redistribution of wealth. Now there's redistribution of AI wealth.
Is fascinating. I did not expect that outcome.
This
But
is amazing क्योंकि if the skepticism is valid कि ये bubble है, right, and eventually settle करेगा, then whatever they can get in the middle, amazing. It's
Yep.
very cool.
should be redistributed. Yeah, it's only fair, right? You're the one saying this is amazing and it's going to last forever. Then share the wealth, no?
Exactly.
Why are you hoarding?
It's a very sadistic feeling I have, but I really, really want this bubble to burst. The trouble is that, when you have these contrarian ideas, you might have to take them to the grave because now causality, that loop is longer than an average lifetime.
Yeah.
So, Mark Manson said something like this, to be really successful, have one contrarian idea and be right about it. I will never find out if I'm right.
Nice. So my favorite AI researcher that I keep quoting again and again and again, Ed Zitron.
Ed Zitron, yeah.
He started as an early AI skeptic, but he has gone so deep into the numbers. He has gone so deep into the numbers. That article I shared yesterday on the group.
Yeah.
He's gone into the SpaceX S1 filing, found the link to the WSJ non-story about Anthropic will turn a profit, an operating profit in the coming quarter, by also predicting how much their ARR, their MRR converted to ARR will be in June. कि वो जून में इतना अचीव कर लेंगे भाई अभी मिड में चल रहा है pointed out all the discrepancies and he has gone so deep into the all the way down the chain from Nvidia, their circular whole mechanics. Right. In fact, I will just take one number. Yeah. So this is interesting. There's another guy called Dario on Twitter who does a lot of this kind of research, going deep into numbers. So he said the results for Nvidia 3 months ending April 26th, 2026. Net cash provided by operating activities $50,000 million, well, $50 billion. Net cash used in investing activities $26 million. Net cash used in financing activities $21 million. So they have used 95% of their free cash flow generated from the business, from sales, into investing and financing of the circular whatever investments that they are doing, into CoreWeave, into down the line, up the line, everything. Nvidia has been keeping this bubble going for so long, with apparently the AMK at some point it will grow legs and become sustainable.
This entire thing is showing every single sign of a classic economic crisis. How are people not shitting their pants?
It is yeah, better to be selling shovels, right? In the gold rush. And here everyone is selling shovels. Gold किसी को नहीं मिल रहा है. Shovels पे ही gold बनाए जा रहे हैं वो अपना stock market में. You don't need a buyer na when there's a stock market. You need a buyer of the stock, not of the end product.
Correct. Yeah.
Because the whole industry. So again, one theme we keep coming back to is there is no consumer use case yet that people are willing to pay money for. अब ये search engine replacement, great. If it gets great, right? Google has announced they're scorching links altogether. Announcement as of last week. Now Google searches will only have the AI results. They will not have links at all.
Ooh, that is scary.
That has so many ramifications that we can discuss over 3 hours, because what is the point to write something on the internet anymore for a financial incentive? So many people brought out their blogs, their websites, eventually getting a financial incentive because Google was sending them people. And yeah, there are other search engines, but Google is 93% market share. So there are effectively no other search engines, practically speaking. And Google is saying we won't link to anything anymore. हम बस तुम्हारा data चोरी करके we will give AI results. Then what is the incentive for people to write anything on the internet anymore? And again, SEO has been a...
was dead anyways. No?
So coming to that, SEO anyhow has been a slop industry for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Which has been caused by Google. This is not a one announcement killer of the internet. They have killed the internet progressively over the last 15 years. By just removing any incentive for people to write. कोई पहुंचेगा ही नहीं.
Yeah.
तो कुछ करना है तो social media पे कर लो. So therefore the internet is only like 5 websites anymore. And now 2 chatbots. Everything that is going on, all the hundreds of billions of dollars on investment into data centers, into energy for data centers, into GPUs for data centers, is finally propped up by 2 companies with a combined, if you are to believe them, ARR of $50 billion or less. If you are to believe them. I don't, but yeah.
Yeah, and that is a big if in the first place.
The numbers don't match up. The numbers absolutely do not match up to get to this figure. Because Anthropic has said that they're hitting $30 billion of ARR, though that also is suspect. Because in March, they went to court when they took the Department of Defense, Department of War to court. They actually stated in the filings that they have generated lifetime revenues of more than $5 billion. That's it.
No, but 50 billion is more than 5 billion. Oh.
So 50 billion is what they're generally saying, where they don't have to back anything up. 5 billion was in legal filings where they had they had the incentive to overstate whatever, but they can't really, right? It's legal filings. So if it were actually 10, they would have said more than 5. 5.1 they would have said more than 5. 6 bhi hota, they would have said more than 6. They were incentivized to. So till March, that's all they could back up. So the numbers don't match up, even in what they have been saying over that quarter itself, कि हमारा ये ARR आ गया, ये ARR आ गया. In March, they said they're hitting $30 billion of ARR, which means at best $2.5 billion of MRR in March. But in March, they are putting a filing in a court case saying our lifetime revenue is $5 billion. उसमें से 2.5 अगर तुम्हारा मार्च में आ रहा है, In Feb they had said कि कुछ इनका $10 billion था तो कुछ वहां से एक निकाल लो. So where is the numbers don't match up?
So what happens to Musk's interstellar data centers?
Ah,
I'm sorry, I have to bring it up. I have the S1 in front.
No. So
but data centers in space.
I've actually read like a
Hmm.
third of the
Yes.
S1. You always make me do this. Let me explain the vision, let's say, that the S1 is laying out. No, just as an aside, an S1 is the first time that a founder is talking to the general public, right? They might have, in that journey to get there, pitched the company in different forms. The story might have evolved over the years to hundreds of VCs, maybe bankers, whatever. But this is the first time they're talking to the general public. It's the first time that they get a megaphone to tell the world what their vision is for the company, because they might have advertised before, but that's talking about the product. This is when they get to talk about the company itself. And S1 is special. Okay, it's a big deal. You might say that it is finally finding the greatest fool in the market, and that's a cynical view to take, but it is also that, it's a founder talking to the world. It's a founder talking to the world that, look, here's what I built in the last year, decade, century, whatever. And Musk's vision here, the way he lays it out, and as much as I dislike the person, the SpaceX part of the business that has already been built is really cool.
Hmm.
It is
Agreed.
objectively cool, right? This
Agreed.
was, he managed to, or SpaceX, a company, managed to crack making space exploration, or at least launching, using reusable vehicles, making this come as close to commercial air travel as possible. In that, why can't we have a reusable vehicle, a launch vehicle? uh, why can't we use liquid fuel, things like that? 100 small and big achievements which made it possible to make it realistic for people to think that, okay, maybe I can build a satellite startup now, because the biggest expense, the hardest part of this puzzle, which is the launch costs, are much more affordable now. And that has unlocked and is going to unlock such an amazing second and third order of startups and new ventures, of which for India, Bangalore is a hub, by the way. There are like a few dozen incredible startups here who exist because of ISRO and SpaceX,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't otherwise. All right. So anyway, the space part of the company is amazing, truly, objectively incredible, truly. uh, they're saying, look, we have cracked the launch part of this puzzle, which is the most expensive, the most technically challenging part of this to solve. Their rationale is that the problem with data centers that we discussed 2 weeks back, that the episode is out, the problem is that data centers require too much energy and too much water. He's saying if they're in space, that solves both the problems, because they're going to use solar energy, and there is no footprint here. Once you're done with the launch, I will not bring the production problems just yet, the pollution that causes, etc., etc. But once the theoretical satellite is launched, which is a fully functional data center in itself with its own solar panels, then the compute has no fingerprint footprint anymore, right? It's self-sustaining, it's taking care of itself. And in that case, then why complain? Agar if AI is real, then it's going to pay off, and if it isn't, then there's just some space debris around the
there's
planet.
at least a data center which can be used for other stuff. Who knows?
Exactly.
How do you
Also,
build this data center in space जो हम Earth पे नहीं बना पा रहे हैं? Every damn data center talked about in 2024, I think some 3% is live, 3 or 4% of that capacity.
but the biggest bottlenecks are energy, right? Energy and the physical build out of the infrastructure around it, because
Physical build out तो फिर भी करना पड़ेगा. You can't just send GPUs into space, na. You still need
I
the
guess
data
that's
center.
kind of the plan. They'll pack it up and send it and assemble it over here and just launch it off.
yeah,
पूरा data center.
you're imagining the big Manhattan sized data centers. They will follow the Starlink model. This isn't in the S1, or I haven't landed upon it yet, but it's not going to be one big data center. It's going to be a cluster of satellites.
The secondly,
I am
the
saying
logic
this.
will be completely different in outer space. Hopefully, I don't know how.
I am saying this thing is at least 15 years away.
Sure, I'm not going to argue on that. Musk has a checkered past of overpromising and under-delivering.
Checkered is very politely putting it. Checkered is a very nice, euphemistic, polite, happy way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm from a finance background, man. मैं कभी भी एक हाथ से ही उठता हूँ. So that part of it really cool. Where it went off the rails for me, the S1, was when the rest of the shit was brought in. When Twitter was brought in, when XAI was brought in, and all of that. Like, yeah, this is a leap too far for me. Multiple people have pointed out that since Musk bought Twitter, Twitter standalone was listed earlier, right? Revenues then, before Musk bought it, were higher than like double roughly of what they are now when it includes Grok and whatever XAI is and all of that. So basically, Twitter's revenues have roughly halved since Musk came over.
That's not bad. Half is not bad at all. No, genuinely speaking, because he threw away most of the advertisers, the big advertisers, and half
Yeah.
actually is impressive.
No, at least half, because we don't know
Hmm.
how much of revenue comes from which bucket, right? So that's still opaque, and they've chosen not to spell that out explicitly. We'd actually have the revenue numbers here. Just spare me a second. It's a great read. At least the first 100 pages that I've been to is fascinating.
Is there any community adjusted EBITDA in there?
No, that was the first thing I searched for. No, the first thing I searched for was Mars, and that screenshot I shared. But the second thing I searched for was adjusted EBITDA, and no, it's not that. I think Adam Newman just flew too close to the sun. Lawyers and bankers are just too wary of that. No, we will not make that mistake, at least. While I look this up, you can move on to other things. This is going to take me a while. I didn't bookmark it.
Last 10 minutes I've been trying to think of what the cost of a token would be that is streamed from the satellite. Even if it is 15 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be cheap enough.
यार मुझे ये समझाओ, what value should I ascribe to a token? Because if someone says, I will give you 1 billion tokens, like for example, DeepSeek has just announced, DeepSeek V4 Pro is 75% off permanent. Right. So, yeah, so per token cost for input is $0.003625. How am I even supposed to do the math? Let's say they're giving me 1 billion tokens for this for $10 a month.
Yeah.
Let's say. That sounds like an amazing deal.
That's a good deal.
What am I supposed to make from that? How am I supposed to interpret that as a user? How do I value a token?
What I typically do is, now that I myself vibe code a bit, I usually keep an eye on how many tokens Claude is sending and receiving for a type of prompt. One type of prompt is examine this repository and figure out what it does. Another type of prompt is write unit tests. Third type of prompt is we are done. Please write good documentation and push it. That sort of stuff. So now I have this mental model of how much a particular task is going to cost me, which by the way still changes by project. A piece of code change in one project is not equivalent to another. And then there is this constant subconscious loop, successive approximation loop running. It's like, am I still under my quota? And yes, I am. So I can wipe quota. So I know. Yeah.
Is it possible to have like transparent metering before a prompt is run? Theoretically, is it possible?
This will
or-
cost you X tokens.
Yeah. Do you want to proceed with this query?
It is. Most of these, most LLMs have either open sourced or made their tokenizers available for free. So what you can do is before you actually make the API call, you can figure out how many tokens that call is going to cost.
Right. Why isn't it part of the interface itself? Since they're moving to metering now.
No incentive for them to actually put it in the interface. It's better for them if they don't.
So it's
So
there.
even so, this week even Google set usage limits. Right,
We got that.
start of the enshrittification process, and
Correct.
people immediately started hitting the limits on the $20 plan. Right, and then they came back and said, "Oh, we're relaxing the limits. We're relaxing the limits." So, which Anthropic also had to do last month or 2 months ago when the problem started.
I would love
Right.
to get my users to a stage where they put up auto recharge, right?
Sorry, put
Put up auto recharge for tokens and credits.
your users. Yeah, for sure. That's
100%.
best. I would like that for my users too. I don't trust Anthropic enough to do that at the back end with my own queries.
And
Because if you run out, I've run out a few times.
why did I make public only the tokenizer tools? Because in order to even access them, you need to be a programmer of some sort at least. And who's going to bother to do that? I might as well just ask. I'll set aside $1 maybe and say, okay, for this kind of task, how many tokens do you think I consume and extrapolate from there?
Because I want to ascribe value, right? I don't want to ascribe mentally. I don't want to ascribe tokens. I want to ascribe value. मुझे ये करना है काम. This will cost me $2. ये करना है. This will cost me $20. So I can't process tokens. I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Even if someone tells me it means 750 words, what does that mean? I don't think in terms of number of words. I think in terms of number of words, if I'm writing an article, sure, but nothing else.
Nothing
under
else is
any
what.
scenario. Am I thinking in terms of
And
number
here's
of
the thing, you deal with video.
Hmm.
How many tokens is that?
I do have a sense there, which I will
How
not.
much is let's say a 4K frame or an image? How many tokens is that?
Tokens have been. I can still think in terms of cost. I will still think in terms of input cost. Tokens, my co-founder knows. I
Correct.
asked him, "Mujhe mat bata. I don't know what to do with this information. I have to build an Excel file."
Correct.
Right. I need to calculate gross margins. I can't calculate gross margins on tokens.
I released this data set a few weeks ago, which you can use to train an agent to annotate charts and write the right caption for a chart if it were to appear in a newspaper or something like that. And I told him that, how am I ever going to build this machine because there are 80 million captions across 150,000 different charts.
Right.
And he said, no, wait, let's do a quick back of the envelope calculation. You have what 1080 GTX Nvidia processor, and you'll probably run like a local DeepSeek or something, Quen on it perhaps, or a Milli LM. But here's how much ChatGPT costs per token. Here's how much Claude costs per token. The whole thing is going to cost you just a few $100. So, when you are looking at it from that narrow a perspective, it kind of makes sense. But you need that per project, per problem.
No problem, especially as a user, as an individual user.
Yeah.
And also as the guy handling the budget for my startup.
Yeah.
I absolutely cannot give auto recharge to my team when they're using Claude. Also because I suspect there is no accuracy. If I run the same query 3 times, it will use 3 different number of tokens. And they will wildly differ.
Wait, I have a pop culture reference here. AIB used to make or made probably this one video of 3-second movies or something. I think it was that. It might have been SNG. I don't remember. Basically, this late 80s, early 90s trope of the rich father of the girl calls the broke boy and gives him a blank check and says, write whatever figure you want on this, but you'll have to stop seeing my daughter. That trope, they set that up. And the very next frame is the father and the daughter by the roadside begging. And the daughter's telling the father, why do you give him a blank check? You could have just written a large amount.
There's this other guy also who's done this reel, Govind Menon, I think. Fantastic reel where Joe Mango, yellow blank check. And he writes a figure, we can't see it. इतना नहीं थोड़ा तो कम कर लो यार इतना तो बहुत ज्यादा मांग रहे हो आपने बोला था ब्लैंक चेक चलो थोड़ा कम कर देता हूँ इतना भी नहीं.
हाँ, मैं-
Ending with हाँ यार मेरी बेटी ले जाओ, ठीक है यार.
Yeah, I found the numbers for the 3 months ended March 31st, 2026. So for the US companies work on the calendar year cycle. So for the 3 months of this year until March, the total revenue of all of SpaceX, which is the space part of it, the Starlink part of it, which they call communications, I think, and the AI part, which is XAI and Twitter and all that. The total revenue altogether for the first 3 months was about four and a half. I'm rounding up or down, wherever. $4.5 billion. Loss from operations was almost $2 billion, and adjusted EBITDA was $1.1 billion for this year. Of that headline figure of $4.5 billion, the space segment, which is I think just the launch vehicles,
Starlink.
generated a revenue of 619 million.
That's it.
And yeah, 619 million.
That is it.
Connectivity,
Hmm.
connectivity, which is Starlink, generated 3.25 billion. So out of four and a half, roughly half a billion came from space, 3.25 came from connectivity, which is Starlink, and the remaining came from AI, which is $818 million. That includes Twitter, that includes XAI, and whatever else is under that broad AI umbrella.
That.
That was the total revenue in these
And now,
three.
as you've seen, one of the big revenue sources now is data centers, which they are now leasing out compute to
So
Anthropic.
at least a little bit of that was included in the March revenue. No? That's why I deliberately give 2026 numbers and not last year's. So for comparison, last year I think they did some. Oh wait, a more interesting statistic: capex for a space segment for these 3 months was 1 billion. For Starlink was 1.3 billion, and for AI was 7.7 billion in these 3 months, Jan, Feb, and March. 7.7 billion of capex, and last year's AI capex was 12.7 billion. So
Now,
yeah,
now
your
you can't
point stands.
reconcile all of that with the fact that only 3% data centers are operational.
Yeah, because
3%
there
of the data centers announced in 2024, 25.
Oh.
Early, till early 25. बहुत कम है यार capacity तो they've announced like some God knows how many 50 to 80 gigawatts.
Yeah.
नहीं बन रहे हैं.
But that essentially hinges on this assumption that more tokens, more consumption is
So the
somehow,
counterpoint, exactly.
somehow
So
going to lead to more productivity somehow.
Yeah.
Don't know how yet, but somehow.
and more dollars. I mean, sure, more dollars, yes, to a certain extent, but
but
like
so here is my question, right? So there are the the American models, which are very, very compute intensive.
Hmm.
And वो compute बढ़े जा रहा है. Every subsequent model requires more, significantly more, both for training and inference. There are no economies of scale in this because the more data, the more processing, the more training data. So the solution they have come across is data centers in space. Meanwhile, the other side is the Chinese models, the open source models, which are, I don't know enough because I can't process tokens mentally, but and also how much a token can do. That also differs, right?
Yes. Hmm.
One token is not equal to one token. They are running at some 3 to 5% of the compute requirement of the American models on a desktop machine. So why wouldn't everyone just immediately move here once you have to actually start accounting for those real costs? When people have to start paying for data centers in space to be set up, उनका $20 subscription कहाँ पहुंचेगा? $500.
Yeah.
Somebody has to pay for this shit, right? Meanwhile, Chinese are like, अच्छा दे लो 75% discount. $5 दे दो हमें. Why does this industry even need to exist in that sense?
Or at least, Jaidev, I want your take on this. Do you see most of us relying on local models as our first port of call, and then escalating out to one of these foundational models when we hit the scope or the limit of the local model or the hardware constraints of our machine?
I see it the other way around, at least
Explain.
for the near future, because right now the easiest thing for me is to rely on the cloud. And as fascinating as local small language models are, they're not
Mhm.
exactly easy to run. And what that means is that if tomorrow somebody were to come up with an AI enabled browser, which says that, okay, we are completely offline and we do everything on your device, they will have to revamp their entire game of how they do their development and building and shipping. And now it is specific to hardware, off the shelf hardware that's there on your MacBook or your old laptops or whatever it is. You'll have to cater to
Consumer hardware.
on
Right.
Apple Intel. There are all of these specific deployment targets that you have to worry about, for which you need deep pockets
Right.
and a lot of talented technology. A lot of talent, and you need a lot of deep tech to be able to do even that.
Mhm.
Much lower hanging fruit for me is to just pay OpenAI for cloud services. So that's going to happen eventually, but not soon, I think.
So, are we talking enterprise use case, API based, or are we talking the $20 plan right now?
The
What
$20 plan, I guess.
$20 plan? Great.
Yeah, my question was consumer only. Would things be accelerated? Would the shift be accelerated if there was the AI equivalent of Linux released? Of
Interesting.
here's an open
I
source.
still am a little skeptical about that, because here's the thing: the things are far too tied to Nvidia as it is. So it's like this one huge gorilla sitting on top of everything, and you can't ignore it. So
Mhm.
if you find a way around it, which by the way people are trying to do, people have figured out how to do fairly good neural network processing on AMDs and WebGL machines and so on. Any graphics card, in fact, even Intel and so on. It's just that the tooling and the ecosystem and the entire ecosystem is so sort of tied to Nvidia that for that balance to tip, it might take a while.
So,
How do you
what
put
can,
that?
let's say the $20 plan, we're still talking to that within those bounds. What all can you do on that $20 plan that you can't do on a desktop model right now? The Chinese open source model, the latest one,
Oh,
running on a Mac Mini.
smarter models, way smarter models on the cloud.
Hmm.
Volume of data is massive. I
Hmm.
don't care what device I'm using. Your local $20, whatever Quen model you use, the moment you switch to a slightly, so I've got this big workstation behind me, if you can see it.
Hmm.
It's got a 7-8 year old GPU right now, which is probably twice what I bought it for. I'm sure I can sell it for a healthy profit now. If I move from that machine to this machine, I'll see a noticeable drop in
Hmm.
performance. Whereas with GPT, I don't. With my $20 plan, I absolutely don't.
Right.
And in fact, I am not, I would really, really have to stretch myself to even beat that $20 limit every month. No matter how much I've got, because, at work anyway, I'm using my enterprise cloud plan and all so on.
Mhm.
As it is, my prompting is good enough at a certain level where I don't exceed a certain number of tokens anyway, because, well,
Hmm.
I'm doing
So
much
now,
of the thinking.
I have 2 or 3 hypotheses here. One
Yeah.
is that these models, unless they can develop clean cut products sitting on top of them, their own models, they are fairly perfect competition. Right. If today Claude moves from $20 to $40, I will head over to ChatGPT. Till ChatGPT also comes up to $40, then I will head over to Gemini Pro.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, they're perfect competition. You could
Yeah.
say, like with Facebook as a social network, there is a huge migration cost. You can't migrate. If I have
Yes.
1,000 friends, I can't. Here, I'll just ask the system to write me handoff prompts for each project
Correct.
and hop over. So that is
Correct.
one hypothesis, that they won't be able to increase prices unless they properly cartelize
So you're
and decide
saying
every day,
no
today
more.
we are going to $50.
Correct. And,
Not
and I think there is also this aspect of, why there's an aspect of maybe spoofing the benchmarks a little bit to demonstrate that Claude is better at software engineering than OpenAI and so on. But if you really, really look very hard at the benchmarks, you see that the benchmarks are set up on the kind of programming that nobody actually does in the real world.
exactly. But also nobody cares, right? For
Nobody
me,
cares
they
also,
are,
to a certain
for my
extent.
use case, if I say write me an email, right? Not my use case, the average use case, right?
Yeah.
Or write me this one article or whatever, write me a LinkedIn post, parse this Excel file. Some might be better at something, some might be better at others, but they're all 19-20. practically,
Exactly. Yeah.
because they can't even define better.
Yeah.
So that is one hypothesis.
That's actually very valid. I think just yesterday on the 6% club group, we were having this discussion about hardback books, how they feel very aristocratic and very rich. And I said, they're also very good to throw at people, you know. And so Chuck vibe coded a little HTML game on, there's a guy with a cart full of books which he's throwing at people whenever they say something silly. I don't think that if he'd used Claude instead of GPT, it would have mattered to him. Yeah. And he
Right.
did it.
The only thing people talk about is usage limits.
Yeah.
Which means these guys are in a trap. Second, so that is one hypothesis.
That is one hypothesis. Yes.
Second is, let's say they all move to $50. Do you think then people will start moving to the Chinese models? Also,
No.
because DeepSeek also has an online variant. You don't need to use it offline. It is much cheaper.
Oh yeah. That actually changes things. Yes. In that case, a lot of these so the classic Simon Sinek model of late bloomers versus early adopters. The early adopters will happily pay these $50 because now these people are converted and sold and everything, myself included. I would happily pay $50 a month or so. But there's this huge, between the mean and one standard deviation away on each side of that bell curve. They'll probably end up with these online versions of Quen or DeepSeek.
Because you're a power user. You're a power user to power user powered. Right. You are not the average user by any stretch.
I'm maybe between 1 and 2 sigma.
समझ नहीं आया, but sure. हाँ, exactly, right. So because ये जो DeepSeek का जो discount है, अब free तो तुम चला लो अपनी मशीन पे, कर सकते हो. But this discount is for the online system.
Correct.
Right. So they are much cheaper in terms of, again, tokens not being equivalent, but in terms of what all you can do is what they say, is what enough people on the internet say. So, and they are much more efficient to run. So they are probably not, I would assume they're not subsidizing these users like the Americans are. So
they don't need to, perhaps.
Yeah. So if an American Claude Max user is being charged $200 and costing the company like maybe $500-600, these users, even the Max users, are costing the company hell of a lot of money. They're losing money on every tier of user, all the way from free to Max. But these users are very expensive for them because they're power users, right?
Yep.
And यहाँ पे वो $10 में they're giving you so much compute and they're making a profit on it. If that is true. But it seems like this should be true. तो ये data center को फिर बढ़ा के नहीं, now we need to charge you the actual $500. And also SaaS margins, typically, to make money as a SaaS company, it runs on 80 to 85% gross margins. So if a Claude Max user is costing the company $400, they need to be charging the guy $2,000 to run on SaaS margins, enterprise SaaS margins, to run a profitable SaaS operation.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think I need to do a little math on this. But I'm just wondering, like, even if that were true, how long would it take for people to get rid of the, effects of marketing in a certain sense, For example, you or I personally, would I trust DeepSeek? I would. I mean,
I would, yeah.
As much as I trust any other model. But let's say somebody like GPT who's sort of got their tentacles spread everywhere and integrated with everything. And it's just that, instead of just a tool, it's becoming a platform, and that platform has a switching cost. Sure, you can always serialize your project and move them between Claude and GPT, but moving from that ecosystem to the Eastern ecosystem, I wonder what the switching costs there are.
I will happily give my own use case. $20 a month, sure, no issues. But if at $20, they're going to incentivize it a bit more. If I hit my usage limits more than two to three times a week and I get irritated, I'll start exploring, because there is Quen, there is DeepSeek, there is the Seedream. Everything exists. They're not as organized. They're not as neatly enmeshed into one product as Claude absolutely is. But I am happily paying 2,000 rupees a month effectively for Claude Pro. If they make it 5,000 rupees a month, I am switching over, absolutely.
But what about all of the self-management that you might have to do to just manage all of these things
I
separately?
will use AI for that. Absolutely. Write me handoffs. Give me handoff instructions. Write me a small program to fit whatever I'm doing. These are figure the use cases. I will tell the AI. I will tell Claude what are like I have 10 projects running. Let's say what are my use cases? Which model there can do it? Right? Is there a model that can actually combine all this, or is there a wrapper that somebody will build a wrapper? I don't have the expertise. Somebody will build one, right?
Somebody will build it. Yeah,
The
true.
minute these models get to $50, somebody will build a wrapper.
Correct.
MCP है, API है, सब कुछ है. Run those calls. That's
Hmm.
my thesis. They are
No, that
trapped that they
makes sense.
cannot increase this because they haven't been able to build that use case, the consumer use case. I'm talking about myself as a consumer here, not as a startup co-founder company use. I'm talking different enterprise use case. By the way, enterprise use case also, if the cost differential becomes huge, I am more likely to ask my co-founder to switch over because there we're talking hundreds or thousands of dollars as we grow.
Yeah, in that case, I'll probably start a consulting startup which specializes in precisely this, moving people over.
Exactly. Happily, I will pay a consultant to say
Yes.
if I am spending X amount on the American models and
Switch
Y
them over.
amount on Chinese. मैं I'll run. अच्छा मेरा 6 महीने में recover हो जाएगा cost. Great. So
And then on the individual consumer side also, I'm pretty sure a lot of these hackers and makers will have a market there. It's like, okay, sure, you don't have to pay me, but I get a nice cool project for my portfolio out of it and go
कोई
ahead and
vibe
use
code
that.
कर देगा यार. कोई vibe code कर देगा.
Exactly. And I mean, at least I become an influencer out of it. Who knows?
Yes. So that's my hypothesis. Please pick holes.
Asymptotically, this will happen, I think. It's just a question of when.
Then, yeah.
While these guys are building data centers in fucking space.
You're gonna hit me over the head with that for a long time, aren't you?
I mean, this is that classic, again, like, completely naive sort of reading of the future is the scaling laws plateau, you get no additional value, more tokens are being spent on inference. And because, I don't know, I think it was Satya Nadella or Jensen Huang who said that now we are seeing a new era of scaling where the scaling is not in the training, the scaling is in the inference. We'll spend more tokens on the inference, we'll make it think longer and all. And end consumers like WTF.
But also that is a very interesting point. ये economies of scale नहीं है.
नहीं है.
Because ideally you would think inference पे कम होगा over time.
Yeah.
Training is R&D. Training is capex.
Correct. Correct.
Inference is opex. तुम happily कह रहे हो कि मेरे opex बढ़े जा रहा है.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's precisely the contradiction there.
So you will opex बढ़ेगा means you are going to lose more money per user
More money,
while you go
precisely.
$20 model and तुम 30 पे भी नहीं ले जा सकते unless you cartelize and everyone goes to 30. If
Correct.
Gemini Pro goes to 30, people will shift over to Anthropic. इनके सारे user. Anthropic
Exactly.
goes to
And
30, people will get
since
back
you
to
can't
ChatGPT.
make money out of that anyway, everybody goes to that $50 model. There'll be a fringe element who starts adopting the Eastern models first. And, this ecosystem of consulting and apps and, hacker maker kind of economy comes up around it. That's the happy path that I'm thinking of. Happy, disruptive,
Somehow I
anarcho-capitalist
see it happening. I don't
yeah,
see a path for it to not happen.
to not happen. The question is when? Yes.
This just seems practically. This is
In the
not
middle,
even
yeah,
bubble bursting doomerism. Nothing. This just seems like the most practical
quite natural, yes.
process.
But no, nevertheless, Nitesh, I mean, do pick holes.
I don't have a specific argument for what Vineet said, but I will still try and take the other side of the argument just for contrarism's sake. The internet would not exist without the bubble that preceded it. The late 90s, all the crazy, weird shit, which we still haven't talked, by the way, in the shenanigans that are going on in the market now. And we are all products of the internet, we're children of the internet. I think it was a net positive for the global economy, for humanity in general, social media notwithstanding. that we did that kind of idiotic bubble chasing in the late 90s, because the internet wouldn't exist. Consumer internet, mass, broad based, accessible to everybody internet would not exist today. It was not inevitable. It happened because of the insane infrastructure spends that were done in the US and then in other countries in the mid to late 90s. Without that, the internet would not exist in the form that it is here today. So, not even the wisest can see all ends. And I think we need to leave the possibility that none of us, not Elon, not Dario, not Altman, not any of these guys, and certainly not us, can predict where this might end up. And if the worst case thing is that the bubble pops and there's a recession for a few years, those things happen with alarming frequency, anyways, right?
Yeah.
This isn't
Yeah.
harming
Every day.
anybody yet. Yeah. So this would just be the flavor of this decade.
Yeah.
But if the flip side, if I look at it as an options trader, if the payoff is so asymmetric as to unlock things that we cannot predict today,
Yeah.
then I think it's all right. The bubble
Yeah.
is all right. It popping is all right. And what remains after it pops can lead us to wonderful, crazy places. So
I mean,
I
even
think
if you
it's
think
okay.
about maybe not the economics of it, but even life without this. It's like back in 2019, it wasn't such a bad thing anyway. So it's fine.
And
I
that's
mean,
the worst case
like
scenario, right? The
my
bubble
view is
pops and
clear.
AI goes away.
I'll just make one point here to counter that. AI is not like the early internet in a few ways. One, we could see the potential of the internet as soon as we touched it. Like, holy shit, this is insane. Even chat rooms, even IRC chat rooms, MIRC, right? It's just, wow, this thing is path breaking. वेबसाइट पे ये हो रहा है ठीक है pets.com तब हमने बहुत the bubble burst pets.com was valued like
That
mad,
came much
but
later. The
heads
chat
up for tails.com is doing great business, right? And I am using it, right? There are so many. It is a real world whatever.
Vineet,
We didn't need the early internet to be forced down our throats. The internet is here to stay whether you like it or not. जितना AI के साथ हो रहा है without even convincing us about the use cases, without forcing AI overviews and killing results, without murdering the internet as it stands just to boost AI. वो वाला scene, that is the difference between the early, we could see the potential. It was easier to describe कि internet से क्या होगा, not defending the dot-com bubble at all.
no, Vineet. This reeks of survivor bias. You don't remember or know of the hundreds of thousands of bullshit use cases that were floated for the internet back then.
Fair.
Because they're not around anymore. And the sense of wonder that you described with chat rooms, did you not feel a small part of that? The first time you had a conversation with a chatbot and you were not 100% sure that, come on, there has to be a person behind this, right? This is
For sure. Yeah. When Grok, in fact, when they released their auto translate and answering tool, I was convinced this is a team in Africa doing it.
Yeah.
When Grok suddenly started answering anyone in Hindi, English, Bangla, in their language very accurately, I was like, "Yaar, ye to पीछे team hai, ye ho ही नहीं सकता." Absolutely. For sure. Agreed on that point.
But Nitesh,
So
tell me this: back in the days of the early internet, what do you think is the closest equivalent of slop that we see today?
Viruses, spam, email forwards. They weren't being productive. They were causing problems.
Yeah, but we weren't told that spam is the best thing ever.
But,
You will love
exactly.
spam.
We
You will
knew it to
appreciate
be a
it.
bad thing, right? Yeah.
हाँ. अभी यार
It was very
the
clear that
force
this is
feeding,
harmful.
no, this is good, this is great. That cartoon that you sent me of really funny cartoon. You've seen the Jetsons, right, Jaidev?
Few episodes, yes.
याद है ना?
हाँ.
The cartoon is कि वो George Jetson पीछे vacuum कर रहा है and the robot is
Yeah.
painting. And we are supposed to believe this is a good thing.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
And he has a grimace on his face and he's doing vacuuming and she's doing art.
Yeah, seriously,
Funny.
what happened to Sora and how many people do you know who have a WhatsApp DP which is Ghiblified?
कम हो गए हैं. तब तो
कम
बहुत
हो
थे
गए.
यार. Mad.
They've gone, right? Yeah.
I know a couple. अभी भी हैं.
I mean, I can also maybe think of 2 or 3 people, but my God, that was so irritating. And
यार irritating छोड़ो ना. So we had a full episode on that Studio Ghibli moment.
acha,
And one thread was कि यार तुम इसको monetize कर ही नहीं पाओगे. ये meme है. You cannot monetize memes. Again, feeding into there is no consumer. I think that was the first time we thoroughly went into there is no consumer use case for AI. अभी भी नहीं है. Hardware, software, कुछ भी नहीं है.
You should get that tramp stamp, Vineet.
AI से निकालूंगा. Claude.
Sorry. Anything else to add? We'll wrap.
I think let us wrap. Great.
We're ending on tramp stamp and we're really elevating the discourse.
We started with
Tramp
AI
stamp.
is AI inevitable, and we're ending with tramp stamps.
No,
Sounds
that
like an
is
average. Sounds like an average podcast episode for us.
tramp stamp or not, that is certainly the hill I will die on. So
See, we agree.
Yeah, you can find a nice tattoo parlor that's equidistant from both of you. You can meet up there. Go for it.
Adha, there is no consumer for one person, use case for AI for the other person. Matching tramp stamp tattoos talking about AI business models. Wow, that is where this episode ends. Who would have thunk it?
I can't top that. Let's wrap.
the plateau of the tramp stamp of inflated expectations or something like that.
Were you expecting that when you came to a podcast called Hype Cycles?
No, but
Which is a term we totally thought of ourselves. Yeah, sorry.
that graph is something that I've had in so many slides by now that it's sort of imprinted on my mind, and everything is a hype cycle. Like
I'm saying that's a good name for a company. Nitesh, we should start a company, consulting company called क्या था? Gartner? It's a good name. Let's do that.
gutter, yeah.
Let's do that. It's a good name.
I'm sure it's available. Okay. Thank you so much, Jaidev, for
Thanks a lot
taking
for
time
having
off
me. This
on
was
this lovely
fantastic.
Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
This was such a great discussion, partly because you and I were agreeing on most stuff. So yeah, for me, it felt like a nice, happy echo chamber. I love it.
All right. That was
Awesome.
great.
See you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.